The Player, Episode 3, LA Takedown. Now, this episode, of course, like the others, definitely had some really good action to it, but I think this one was definitely more story based than the last two episodes. I think this one really has a nice focus on what's happening with Alex and this weird mystery behind his wife most likely being alive. And of course, we have the pit boss who doesn't believe Alex in the beginning of the episode, so he knocks Alex's friend out. He takes whatever information there is, which of course we don't know now, which really sucks. Like, I kind of wish that we knew what it was at least, and then Alex just finds out later. But that's, of course, that's just to keep us interested. But it seemed like this one was really story based to me. Like, even during the mission, it was just a lot of stuff like we're trying to figure out like who the dealer is a little bit. Like, Alex is asking her questions like, "Oh, your weapons trained?" Is it SAS? You have the accent, so like British government stuff like that. So he's trying to get some info on her. We have basically half the storyline really was the pit boss trying to get this information. It was mostly him just talking with Alex's friend and threatening him. But obviously, the point of that was so that he could get all this secret information, which, of course, ultimately he just came out with, don't, be careful who you trust. And that's pretty much it. So I don't know if that means, you know, Ginny was like secret, like a super secret spy or some crazy crap like that. I don't know. But she's alive somewhere, and there's some reason for that. Like, it's a huge question, but that was a big part of this story. And then, of course, the other third little story is Alex's friend getting much closer to this mystery than I thought he would, only in the third episode. But he's already getting pulled in by this woman from the FBI. And so he looks into the previous player. He gets the picture, whereas, which is pretty funny. Like, I couldn't believe the woman said it was a glitch in the phone. Like, that's not, like, even if, it was just weird, it's like that just doesn't happen. Like, just this is blurry. That's not happening. But he gets closer than I really would have expected for episode 3. Like, this random woman calls him in. She has like him like, leave your phone, do this, do that. So he's out just in this crazy random location, and she tells him, she's like, I know that you're close to someone who fits um fits the description of a couple of different guys. It wasn't just the last guy. It was a couple of different people. So she's looking into this on her own, and maybe it's because she lost someone to this as well, and it was the same thing as with Alex, where it's like the special ops. And so she's looking into this stuff and trying to figure it out. So we have a new character to help out Alex's friend, and I don't know how that's gonna play out because, of course, with all these ties, it's like even in this episode, it's mentioned like, okay, well, he's looking into our former player. It's like, okay, just keep me informed. Like, people look into people that are missing all the time, but do keep me informed. So they're gonna be looking out for them, and they're going to be bringing up a lot of old stuff, and they're gonna be found out. And I don't know. I highly doubt that'll get them killed off, but it's gonna lead to some interesting stuff because we now have two separate people, one of which is working for the FBI, so I'm sure she has way more, info that she could use, or like, databases and just certain people that she can get in touch with. And they're going to be looking into what the heck is going on. What's with these people who are special ops that are getting pulled into these weird situations where they disappear for a long time, cuts and bruises and stuff, come back, disappear again for a long time, but they can't explain what's happening. So now we have two people on this case, and that's going to be dangerous for them because, of course, the pit boss doesn't really mess around. So, not sure how it's going to play out, but I'm excited to see that they kind of took a huge leap just in this episode alone, saying, like, alright, I'm officially, they officially tell him, like, hey, there is something huge going on here, and it's not just involving your friend Alex, it has involved a lot of people so far. And this isn't even an official FBI investigation, this is kind of a personal matter, but I want this figured out, and I'm assuming that you do as well. So I love that they took such a huge leap in the third episode alone. I'm excited for that a lot. I don't know which one is going to happen faster if he's going to figure out what Alex is into, or if the pit boss is going to figure out what happened with Ginny. But both of those are kind of the most interesting things to me. Like the stuff with Alex himself is awesome because that's like the action side. But that's like, all right, here's action right here. But these are like two overarching storylines, and that's what has me entertained the most. Like we get, we have these two mysteries, and we also have the mystery with the dealer because she knew Ginny in the past, and so that ties into, I'm assuming, at least the pit boss's storyline, of course, and technically, obviously, working with Alex, it ties into Alex's friend looking into them. But these big mysteries are what's right now is kind of driving the show. Like one specific mystery, the other is just will he figure out that this whole game is happening. But I'm liking those storylines. The action in this episode, like the main game, I guess in this episode was definitely fun. I enjoyed that. I like the way that they played around with some of the ideas of like having to do things low tech again. And when Alex went to like the shop and stuff, he's like, okay, just tell me with your eyes so you don't. So technically, you weren't lying if you say you didn't talk. So I like that scene because he's like, all right, we got to figure stuff out. They don't have the tech for you to just, hack into and figure it all out. So I like the way he figured things out where he's solving this case. It's like, okay, these people have kind of nothing in common, but they go through the pictures and it's like, okay, they were all on this scuba trip around the same time. And I just like the way that they figure things out. Like, and then he's going up against like this very professional assassin who even booby traps his own location where if he lifts up a bullet, it sets off a little bomb. So I like the assassin himself who by the end he hires a little group of people on a helicopter, which I thought was insane. I was like, I did not expect them to have to run from a helicopter in this episode, but that was pretty cool. And then we get another scene of Alex jumping off a building and grabbing onto something, but this time he has the player with him, or he has the dealer with him, and she has to like hold on to him with one arm and just shoot at this helicopter. And I was like, that's a pretty cool scene. I would have loved to have seen how they actually got out of that situation. But I thought that was a pretty cool scene. It was like they had to jump off the building. It's like, hold on with one arm and take my gun and, take these people out before we get shot hanging off the side of this building. And then he has like a little sniper match with the assassin. And he actually has a really good shot. He like knocks the guy's gun down and everything. But it was really cool. I definitely enjoyed the action for sure. And just the way he was going through solving this case was actually pretty fun. It seemed like he used the resources in this episode. I feel like he used them way more to survive than he did to solve the case because he was figuring stuff out on his own, and then he kind of used the resource as like confirmation more than anything else. And I guess like location wise he did, but I feel like if it weren't for him just figuring out certain things, then they wouldn't have the resources wouldn't have mattered. It was just three people that were seemingly totally distant, and he's just like, all right, well, through the pictures, he realized like they're in, all were in the same location at some point. So I like that idea. I like him being the one to figure it out, just mentally. Like he just knows certain things, and even with the assassin himself, he instantly knew like, all right, if someone's doing that, it's got to be like the top 40 or whatever. As soon as he heard the actual name, it was like, I know exactly who that is. He's like one of the top 10 snipers on the earth. So it was just kind of cool. Like he knew a lot of the information, which, of course, is how some of the games are picked anyway, where he's supposed to have some attachment to it or he'd know. But it was actually pretty awesome. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. But I like the action in this episode, of course. I like the stories, taking these big leaps and stuff. The mystery, of course, still a huge mystery where we don't even learn anything. But I like the end scene where Alex thought he had something from one of the memos, and then it just, it kind of messed him up where it just became another little note to, a self-note for his wife. But I love this episode, of course. I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts and your least favorite parts. And the big question for this episode is, what do you guys think about, the two-sided storylines? Like, these are the ones that are going to carry throughout however many seasons this show gets. But I want to know, which one interests you most and why. Because for me, it's definitely the Ginny thing. That's the biggest one. the stuff with his partner was definitely cooler now that he's officially been brought into it by this woman in the FBI who is unofficially investigating it, which makes it a little bit cooler because it's not just like, oh, it's an FBI investigation. She's doing this on her own, and like I said, there has to be a personal connection for her as well, where there was a third player and she was the one who was married to that guy, or at least related to him in some way. But I want to know which one interests you the most and why, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.